Our next panel discussion is the transformative role of content and e-commerce in the digital age. This session will explore the transformative role of e-commerce in reshaping how businesses reach and engage consumers, and how content serves as the vital fuel that powers. The discussion will highlight how businesses are leveraging content to build trust, drive conversations, and foster long-term customer relationships in an increasingly competitive digital marketplace. We will also examine the technological advancements that are enabling this synergy, such as AI-driven personalization, data analytics, and omni-channel strategies. To discuss on this, we have our industry and illustrious set of industry experts who will be sharing their insights along with us. Please put our hands together to welcome Nisha Khatri, Head of Marketing, Libas. A very warm welcome to you. May I request you to please take a seat. Welcoming our next panel member, Harshdeep Singh, AVP Marketing, Droom. A very warm welcome to you. Please take a seat, sir. Welcoming Rachit Mehra, General Manager, Brand and Marketing, Qubo. Very warm welcome to you. Welcoming Raktim Das, Chief Growth Officer, Digital and Broadcasting, TV9. A very warm welcome to you. Welcoming our panel member, Gandharv Sachdeva, Country Head, India Hybrid. Very warm welcome to you. And the session will be moderated by the session chair, Kushal Sanghvi, Chief Mentor, NITI Aayog. A very warm welcome to you, sir. The topic of discussion is going to be the transformative role of content and e-commerce in the digital age. Welcoming our panel members back. And as we see that our session chair has settled down, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I know it's a tough one. We've eaten food. We're the second last session for the day as well. You guys have enough plans for the Friday. But before we start, how many of you guys bought some stuff online in the last 45 minutes? Quick commerce, social commerce, e-commerce. Last 2 hours? Since morning? Okay, it's a few hands. How many of you guys just put up a feed on their Insta or some other platform about what you're doing? Wow. So this is an interesting sort of house where we have people from the content side, where we've got interesting companies. I would call them new age, in a sense, creating solutions, offerings, value in multiple different streams as well. I'm going to start with a question for the lady in the house, is that, while a very large percentage of the population is now buying sort of online as well, the big question we always, as marketers, have always had is, how do you sort of get the same customer to know, or as a marketer to know that this is the same person who walked into the store, the same person here, this. So what is that thin sort of line that you sort of have internally? And is that line now driven by AI?
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for the question. Like you rightly pointed out, while a big chunk of people are shopping online, but a good proportion of organized fashion and organized enterprises is only still 10%, which have retail presence as a brand. So I think that puts us in a very interesting and a very lucrative setup where we can tap into customers through many touch points, right? It's an omni-channel approach. I think all of us as D2C brands operate into. For us, particularly as an ethnic fashion brand, we are located in our retail presence in markets which are very busy markets. So for us, our merchandise which we have at the store is different from what we sell online. It's our discounts are different in retail than what we have online. So these little things, I think, help us differentiate the customer segmentation. Our flagship sales, which we have, I think this is the first year where we took our flagship online sale, which is called Purple Days sale, offline. And it also allows us to see the intersection of online and offline customer in an amazing fashion, where we can see, okay, that there's a reception of the footfall when they're visiting stores during that 7 days of sale period, which is where we can see that, okay, the online customer is also coming to the store to purchase. But otherwise, I think we have particularly curated our curation of outfits very, intentionally. Like, we have a collection called Libas Art, which is basically our higher ASP range, which begins only from somewhere around 15,000 and goes up to 50,000 and even a lakh plus with our bridal range. So, which is only available in stores, right? We just launched our flagship store in Lajpat Nagar, which is the biggest store in India and our biggest bridal store in India. It has a proper bridal studio, a powder room, at call stylist. So all of those, options and premiumness is available at the store. So hence we have curated a very niche audience and a niche offering for our retail presence.
Interesting. Anyone who's bought a second-hand car in this audience? Second-hand bike? Aspiration to buy a Mercedes S-Class second-hand? Audi, something else? But you know what? Guess what? You can buy an aeroplane online as well, second-hand. We have someone doing that for us here. And let's hear from him in terms of sort of what really sort of triggers, how do you sort of tell the world that, you can buy airline, which is now like, say, like, now used for so many years, now you can get it, bid or buy or, do some stuff online.
So, first of all, I'm part of Droom, which how we market ourselves is that we sell everything from bicycles to planes. Basically selling anything that has wheels, even wheelchairs or anything. So that's our proposition. And for that, we have everything that is required to be on our website. See, vehicles has always been an aspirational thing for a lot of us. And unfortunately, the kind of economy that we are living in, it becomes very difficult for us for a lot of us to kind of purchase a new one. That's why there was a need kind of to have a market which can cater to a pre-owned. We don't call it used market, we call it pre-owned or pre-loved. We don't want to...
you don't like the word used?
We don't like the word used. It has a negative connotation to it. But what we are trying to establish also is, again, it's a very offline driven market right now, and what we are trying to do is bringing that experience online. Over 98% of the used vehicles sold is offline right now. So what we are trying to do is disrupt that market. You have those stores, you have those markets, Saturday markets, Sunday markets, in a lot of, you'll see around your localities. Those are still the predominant players in the market. But what we are trying to do is use technology, use the tools, use transparency as a tool to kind of give that convenience to the customer that they can purchase even automobiles online. So with a lot of people now coming into like e-commerce and adopting e-commerce, this adoption is also increasing, but we are still far from that where people also buy automobiles online. And that's a behavior that we are trying to change. So yeah, automobile is something that you'll get, but what we are trying to do is change the mindset of people to that they can even purchase a vehicle online.
Okay. So I'm going to shift it to the content side of it, so just hold on for a minute. And we've got Raktim, who's been sort of, I think, on the publisher side, pushing out a different narrative in a different sort of era right now. So Raktim, what do you think as the challenges sort of as someone on the content side, sort of how you sort of created content 10 years ago to what sort of the way and styling of content is perhaps today?
So, couple of things. If you look at the overall content and commerce spectrum, one thing which comes out very strongly is the context part. So, how do you create content which is contextual, which will finally lead to commerce? So, that middle part, which is the context part, is very critical, and which is where understanding the user in terms of the demographics, the psychographics, in what state of mind the user is in, and all of that is enabled by technology. So creating content which is contextual for the user is critical, whether it's a brand or it is a publisher brand or it is a consumer brand. So from that perspective, 2-3 things which comes to my mind immediately is that what is the form of content and in what format you're dishing out the content. So in terms of when I say form of content, essentially it means that if you are creating infotainment content, you need to be in a form which is in a storytelling format or whether it is in a narrative format. So all of that needs to be taken care of in understanding what is it that the user or the consumer wants and how do you create that content which become engaging enough. So whether storytelling is the format or you want to do it in a talking head format or in a format which incorporates a lot of influences in the entire content creation process, or you in fact get in the user in the center of the content creation process, which is your UGC content that we all talk about. So that's the first part in terms of identifying how do you go about creating the content, in what format you give out the content is the second part. So when I say format, essentially I mean format in terms of the device the content would be consumed. So if you are in a large screen format, because in the previous session as we saw, it's about how you catch the user at various touch points. So I may be at this point in time on my mobile device, I may be okay watching the content in a vertical video format. Moment I am in my home, I am on a television screen. So how do I carry the experience from my mobile screen to the television screen and still watch the same content but in a different format? So I get into a horizontal format while I move on from my mobile device as I reach my residence. So that's the 2-3 things that comes to my mind in terms of creating content which can be adapted and modified in various formats so that it can be consumed across various devices and in various touch points. But at the core of everything is essentially what I refer to as EAT. The EAT principle in terms of are you offering enough of expertise in what you're creating? Is there authority in what you're creating? And can you deliver trust through the content that you are providing to the consumer? So that is at the crux of everything, because ultimately we all operate in the Google ecosystem. And EAT is a very, very critical aspect if you want your content to surface. Because unless your content surfaces across Google Discover or if it is coming up in search engines, so it has to deliver these 3 key elements. It has to have the expertise, it has to have the authority, and finally that will lead to trust. So that even from a publisher perspective is very critical, because ultimately it's the same consumer that we are eyeing for in terms of getting that share of voice.
So you're having as much difficulty in terms of someone reading your content as how much he's having to sell her churidar kurta.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Or you think your complexities are larger?
No, our complexities are, I wouldn't say which is...
Because she doesn't have Google to work around.
But then it's the same user, you want to get a share of his mind space in terms of whether it is, because finally it is communication. Finally it is, you are trying to communicate or engage with the user through a content piece. It could be, the objective could be different, but you want to have that time spent from that particular user.
Interesting. So Nisha, I'm sure at some point, in your career, you've sort of also used interesting lifestyle magazines and those sort of formats as well. And why I'm saying lifestyle magazines is they're the original sort of people who thought and created something called native. And Gandharv, I'm talking to you in terms of from that part and saying that if you were to add that extra sort of layer to your good friend sitting here and say, hey, you know what, I'm able to dramatize now in your Google ecosystem, so you get all the people to watch in vertical form, horizontal form, and some stuff. Just elaborate, for example, what is it that technology that you can create now in terms of making sure that it's going to be more sort of, yes, it's better version of Vogue and GQ and all that in terms of that coming to life on his sort of assets?
Sure. So what I would like to say over here is that, yes, you want the content, you want to be at the right platform and the right people that you want to reach. and with you have the right content with you on your website, wherein the vertical and the horizontal formats. So where we come into picture, we can actually, we are the mediators where we can help both of you. How we can help is that you want the right person at the right time, and you would like to have an online to an offline attribution as well. Plus, with your content, the kind of system that we have, the kind of ad units that we have, so we can actually use your content, which is the relevant content, say for example, a lifestyle content is something, and you have some, I would say, a wedding kind of clothings. So we will target the wedding clothing content, and we will show your ad on the right content. So say for example, a lady is reading about the wedding couture, or she's reading about anything on the lifestyle. So we will ensure that while she's reading, she sees the right ad and the right message, and she reaches the right place to go ahead and do that purchase. So that is where our technology would come into place, wherein we'll help you with these kind of things. Plus, we can also help brands wherein on an online to an offline attribution, there are brands who would like to see that you've seen the ad and you want to be there at the store as well, like you open up some stores. So we help brands with our technology over there as well.
Interesting. Anyone living in a world where, they're sitting out here and they're making sure that, their mom and dad are safe at their home, and they're sort of looking at, the camera is okay, or if the fridge is not giving any sound, or in case who's opening the door into their house. I see one hand. Anyone aspiring to have such nice modern homes, fancy gadgets, security for their kids, parents, themselves? So there's an interesting company here, and we've got the marketing lead here. And we were speaking a little earlier, and I think what he's doing is really sort of changing, I think, the way the world is going to be, perhaps definitely within about 10 years. Already though it's a West big phenomenon, but just some thoughts we'd love to hear from you in terms of how difficult really is a challenge, as just a marketing person, to just create this new sort of need or a need gap.
See, the fundamental point we're trying to tackle is a habit change, and habit changes are difficult. We've been ingrained to use a certain device a certain way all our lives. We know that the door lock outside our homes will need a key or even a bunch of keys. And over time, we've gotten used to carrying those keys in our pocket. However sound they make, however much sound they make, however many times we miss carrying those keys and we get locked out, and then we have to call someone, okay, help me out, get a spare key or something. We so got used to those hassles in life that we don't even expect that there is a solution, a modern solution which technology can enable for us today. That's where technology, which, let's say something like what Qubo is building, comes into play. A smart door lock, which does not need a key anymore, where your thumbprint, the way we unlock our phones today, that's the same way we unlock our doors. That's the kind of world we're talking about, where those hassles, which we've gotten used to all over time, they just go away. We kind of tend to focus on these small little things in life and not kind of look at what are more important stuff. Let's say caring for our families, getting there on time, but we get kind of engrossed in these silly little niggles of life. Those are the things which technology today has the power to really change for us. Globally, these things have become pretty common, especially in a more mature market, let's say Korea or in the US. But thankfully, India is kind of getting used to it. We've started a difficult journey of educating customers that these things are very much possible here. We have the tech infrastructure, we have the right kind of networks. Broadband is as strong as it will get today in every part of the country, and therefore, for anyone looking at getting out of those hassles of everyday living, this is their solution to having such things in every aspect of their life. Whether that's a small GPS tracker in your car, so that when you have your kids being driven to the school, you know that they've reached the school safely. Or when you are away from home, you know the Wi-Fi camera, the AI in it is actually tracking for any unexpected activity there. But it's only a matter of time, but through continuous effort from our end to educate people, to make these real-life use cases, bring it to them in a manner which can be easily consumable. So on their phones, or let's say a content piece that they're watching on the web, but integrate in that story. That's the job that we have at hand today, to kind of really explain and then make it relatable for them that this sort of solution is here. It's not a thing.
So I'm guessing that a fair amount of sort of concept selling therefore happens through sort of content marketing, right? So can you just try and elaborate, for example, for us, saying that what is, as a marketer, what one or two channels work best for you in terms of content marketing?
So our go-to channel today, first to spread awareness about the kind of products that we deal in, is connected TV. And that's largely on account of the kind of consumer that we're trying to reach. These products today are of a slightly premium nature. They need a bit of awareness in general and comfort with technology in general. So people who are perhaps, let's say, better traveled, they've seen such technologies being implemented globally through their travels abroad. They become the first folks to try these things out when we bring it to India. Second, outside of connected TV, social is where we kind of at least try bringing in a sense of relatability of the use cases that we offer. Now, a dash cam today is perhaps, at least in my view, it should be a must for every car. Given the madness on our streets in general, you'd often be worried that even without a fault of mine, I might get blamed for an incident on the road. So if I have to make that use case for an average Joe, that who's just driving peacefully on the way, but someone comes along and kind of really gives the car a nudge, I would want to make content which is relatable to such a situation, personalize it for him, and then maybe share it on social. That way, at least when some of these folks are online, they get to see how these products can make every day better and not necessarily as complicated as it is today.
Interesting. So Gandharv, I'm back at you in terms of sort of trying to solve for some of the things that he mentioned. And let's assume, therefore, you have to sort of pitch to him in terms of sort of say that, this is a new sort of a door sort of system as well. What easily from a perspective of, without spending too much money, can he do using your tech?
Yes. So using our tech, if I go ahead and pitch to you, what I would mention over here is that with us, as I was just talking about Libas as well, that we can actually reach the right person and using the right content. So what our tech would do is that we would actually go ahead and analyze and read the entire article and see that whether it's a relevant article with the relevant image on it. And then we throw the ad on the image. I would just give you an example, say an apple. An apple is a phone and an apple is a fruit. If I do a contextual targeting using the keyword only as apple, it can actually take the complete food articles and everything and anything. But yes, say for example, if it's yours, so we would use the relevant keywords, we will narrow down the keywords, and our tech will read the complete article and the AI tool, and it would also scan the image. And we will detect the complete image, and then we throw the ad. So your message reaches the right person at the right time. So this is where we come into picture, and we can actually support you with these kind of ad units, these kind of innovative, because today, if my team goes ahead and talks to a client, the word that comes into picture is innovation. So it's like we need innovation. What's new? What's innovation? So this is where the innovation comes into picture, and we help you out. We do not use the 728 by 90 or a 300 by 250 ad units. We do it within the image only. And we can actually do a complete screen capture. Any kind of ad units that's required can be helped upon over there.
So Nisha, just back at you, I'm sure there's enough data, and I think I have read this, 3-4 days back in terms of just, I don't want to sound sort of, in terms of sort of saying how women are and how men are, but yes, there's a certain amount of percentage of how much time women are spending on Instagram. And having said that, what do you think perhaps, say for example, is there a plan at all which gets done without Instagram in your plan today? If you didn't have that at all, do you feel like, oh God, there's something which you need to sort of work around?
Are you asking if I have a plan for Instagram for marketing?
Yes.
Of course I do.
No, what I'm saying is if there was no Instagram, then what happens?
Well, that's a good question. I think
Yes.
that's a question which all of us as marketers should ask ourselves, because if Instagram does go away tomorrow, which it might, because we do have a history of platforms going away. We had TikTok, TikTok went away. I think Koo just recently shut operations. We had ShareChat, which, here in
Having its own challenges.
Yes. So I think that's where we all need to understand as marketers that how was marketing happening before, right? And are we only dependent on platforms to market your products? Of course, we live in a platform world today, so you have to cash in the virality or the trendingness of a platform or anything which is happening. But I think that's where your D2C and your owned content becomes paramount for us. And I think as a brand at Libas also, that's our biggest priority this year and for the next couple of years, that we want to make a very strong D2C. And that means, of course, investing in product and investing in content, investing in storytelling. Whatever we do internally, we always work through a 360-degree approach. Speed is paramount for us. We do believe in cashing in anything which is trending, but then we also don't die in FOMO. If we are able to have a quick rotation of idea, trust our judgment, go for it, and if we are not, then we just move on to the next big thing. But coming back to your question, while Instagram might or might not go away, while we do have it, we of course have a plan for Instagram, and I believe you just asked Rachit a while back, like which is the most used platform. I think for us, as a lifestyle brand, Instagram of course remains a very important platform, and the approach we take there is very product specific. For us as a brand, product is the hero. We don't believe in working with big influencers just for the vanity of it. We have a campaign and a theme, and we choose influencers whoever support that narrative.
Very interesting. So we also have very interesting marketer who sort of believes that most of marketing can be done internally. Yeah. And sort of kudos to your team, to be honest, sir, in terms of sort of having sort of set up a team which sort of has really been going up front. So what are some of your thoughts which you can share with the audience or even as marketers, saying, is it worthy to invest in creating your own talent pool internally to make content?
I think absolutely. I think we realized this pretty early when we were doing our marketing. Unfortunately, we have been slaves of platforms, Google.
I like the word slaves, okay?
Yes. So Google, Facebook, they can charge us whatever they want. They can change their policies anytime. So I think we've realized it pretty soon that we need to invest in a content strategy, a strategy that does not go away with a platform or with money. So it's something that'll stay, and that's why we invested in content creators, and we have in-house content creators. We don't call them influencers; we call them content creators because that's how we believe them to be. And I think that's the kind of that's the best investment that we have made.
Is there a more of an e-commerce trend? Because so everyone is from the e-commerce. If I was to ask someone from Zomato to Myntra to Swiggy, they're all investing. So is it more a sort of e-commerce sort of phenomenon, or is it more a D2C thing, or what would you comment about that?
I think it's for us. It's been more about brand awareness.
It's not about saving some pennies.
No, it's not about sales. We don't talk about buy this car, buy that car. It's been more about bringing people to our page, let them explore what we are, have that kind of a journey with us, and then see what they want to do. It's never been about a particular product or particular service that we would want to advertise there. So it's all been a very subtle kind of a marketing, bringing them to our page. We have a monthly reach of around 30 million on our Instagram alone, which is not there for any automobile brand. So what we have done is acquired that market share, and what that does is let people know what Droom is, and when they have that kind of a journey where they want to explore buying a vehicle, because vehicle buying is not something like a regular e-commerce category. It happens once in a 3-4 years. So it's not every day that you'll come to our platform looking for a vehicle, but when you actually decide to buy a vehicle, Droom should be on your top list. So that's what I intend.
So Rachit, how difficult is it for you with this long sort of concept selling and all that as well? Are you immediately able to get customers on platforms like Flipkart, Amazon, and some others as well, or there's a fair amount of storytelling which you do there as well?
It frankly depends on the category. Something as relatable as a dash cam today, given what's happening, every day you open the newspapers, there is some incident which is being blown out of proportion in terms of the severity of it. You have incidents popping up in Pune, Bangalore, you name it, every second day. And as society, we are recognizing how unsafe it is becoming for a simple act as driving. Therefore, for a product like Dashcam, I'd say it's an easier sell because there's a cultural context around it. For products, let's say on the home front, where I have to share what kind of possibilities open up while using a smart door lock or let's say a video doorbell, that does need a bit of education. But once perhaps someone recognizes that this is the benefit I can have once I have this product at home, it's a much easier conversion. So I'll do some investing in terms of content, but eventually if you're in the market, especially on something like an Amazon, you'd see the many beautiful reviews and the rating then kind of really go ahead to try it.
So as marketers, a lot of marketers are now suddenly saying that marketing is all about moment marketing, it's all about today, it's all about real time, right? Putting on the point that you made. So think as marketers, there was a story, for example, 3 homes got mugged into. Raktim as a publisher puts it up. Real time Raktim, your salesperson says, hey, now advertise. And then you have AI intelligence that Gandharv can do to say, I can now create better ways. Is that a great sell to you, real time?
Absolutely, I think that's the real...
Raktim, will you do that from brand safety perspective? So I think...
that's the way forward. How do you collaborate amongst yourselves to create interesting propositions for the consumers to consume? So whether you are a
But
brand,
you're obviously taking that punt on trying to make the home page of your platform or your publication the center of creating a story which can be sort of not like, it's not the best story to read.
That's the real moment of truth. At that moment, I'm not pushing my product down someone's throat. I'm solving a problem that the customer might be facing at that instance. I'm solving for an opportunity for someone to make their lives better, safer, and what better than to have the right context and the right platform to talk about it.
So context, timing, and then AI as well, right? Now, sort of just thinking a little ahead for this, yeah? What in the same example, Nisha perhaps, yeah? So today, for example, we all know the big fat wedding which happened, right? Did that big fat wedding suddenly explode many more women to say, lehenga kharidna hai, jewelry kharidni hai, and did Raktim sort of show all the latest sort of storytelling inside the wedding of who's wearing what?
I think personalization is a problem we all have to solve for, and for our audience, how do we...
So you weren't getting sort of questions or queries saying, I want this lehenga, I want this, I want what this person was wearing, any of that, and therefore creating like real-time products basis of that as well?
Yes, I think that would also be a good problem to give a solve for. But I think luckily for us, our core product offering is your regular everyday kurta sets. So that doesn't really get too inspired by, something as big of an event as you just mentioned.
Right.
But regardless, we operate in a very competitive category. It's very cluttered and very competitive. So for us, what we do right, I think have begun to do right, is we tap into, where we are very, very aware about what our audience, that TG, right, 18 to 35, what are they listening to, what are they interested in, what are they watching. Personal brand is a big story for the TG we operate in, right? Like now everybody wants to make a personal brand. Now customers can reach out to founders on LinkedIn also. So you are open as a brand 360 degrees. So as a marketer, your job is super tough. like no complaint is wrong, no request is too much. So how do you operate in a space where narrative is more important than facts, where the loudest, most convincing person is heard? So how as a brand you do not get lost in all of that noise, but still at the same point of time, continue to offer your customer quality products? I think that's what we really cater to, because it's really easy to get lost in all of that. So I think if you have good storytelling, if you are in touch with your customers' needs and wants, you are very cognizant of who is your TG. I think as long as you follow that as a straight line, I think you're good as a marketer. You don't have to listen to everything, because customers also not always know what they want, right? They might tell you so, but you have to operate somewhere in the middle of that. And I think we just try to do our best in terms of both catering, demand, and at the same point of time, not losing ourselves as a brand.
So how many of you guys as marketers, 3 marketers here as well, how often do you sort of say, hey, you know what, next week we've got to create a new piece of content? You struggle to sort of say, what do I sort of do? How do I get that right? Yeah, I'm sure. So what does that go to?
I think I said this earlier also, that rotation is very important for us, a quick rotation, because we're a fast fashion brand. On a weekly basis, we have 50 to 100 new SKUs coming up. So for me, I need to have a team which is continuously inspired, is speaking the same terminology, and their vision is shared. So of course, weekly meetings with them helps. I think your team really needs to be in with your vision as well. And for us, we don't really struggle with that. Whatever we can take a judgment call on, we create content, and whatever we cannot, we don't have FOMO around it. We move on to the next big thing, because there is a next big thing almost every third day. So that's what we follow as a philosophy.
So you don't have a problem at all with content, right? Because in-house EA, or do you have a struggle as well, saying, how do we sort of, do you have the CEO at least telling you, saying that, no, this content must have this many likes, this many whatever, certain KPIs? How do you keep matching those expectations?
Yeah, see, the struggle is with every marketer. So we also, whenever we see a fatigue in the kind of content that we create, what's next, and
then you go to Raktim.
Yeah. So
you will go to him at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do. But the thing with that also is that we also invest a lot in personalizing the content. It's not just throwing out random content to everyone. I won't show a Fortuner to a guy who's browsing Honda City. So that's also very important for us to make that choice. And so we have algorithms now in place. We have AI, machine learning, to help us understand what kind of content would kind of work for that kind of audience, and show that kind of content to them. So even their behavior on every platform, be it Instagram, be it on any other social media, be it on a website, what kind of actions they are taking place, that defines what they see when they come on our website. So that's something that that has worked well for us, and that's something that technology is kind of helping us a lot with.
Rachit, are you doing anything for the new India, the new Bharat, as we keep putting out as well, saying that, or are you still believing that there's enough education in the big cities itself first?
Absolutely. India, whichever way you slice it, New India, Bharat, India 1, India 2, everywhere there's a huge opportunity right now. This is perhaps, there's a reason why we are the shining star in the overall global scheme of things, where things aren't really that positive. So especially in urban cities where there is purchasing power for the kind of products that we deal with, there is a lot to cover with before we start thinking of the rest of the country. These are the guys who are aware of similar products or products of a similar experience from their engagements abroad, and they do want to bring that flavor back in their lives locally. Before we accomplish that, it's only fair that we serve this market first and then move on to serving the rest of the country.
I know we're running a little short on time. We have a few minutes to go, and we'll have 1 or 2 questions, but I just have one question that I'd like to sort of ask every single person, yeah? And we can start with you, sir. Yeah? As a company, think of a situation 2028, Yeah, and there could be some new companies as well. But who is that one company? Just one. Don't sort of give me two answers at all. Facebook, Google, Amazon. Who would you bet on?
That's a good question to answer. I would say that yes, Google remains there. And as she mentioned that a lot of platforms are going and coming, Facebook will be there, but
No,
yes,
one company that you will be with.
with the one company which I will be
Yes,
with.
you put your bets that this is the company that will be there, and sort of you will have just X amount of money to spend. That's your sort of company partner to work with.
I would bet with Google.
Okay, let's go to you, Raktim, the company for you.
So Google is the ecosystem, can't help it. You can't live without it.
Really? Okay. Let's choose, see what the marketers have to say in terms of sort of, because they're both content commerce as well.
Amazon for me. Searches are happening on Amazon. People are actually landing up on Amazon to search for a product before Google. Especially being in a product first space, that's their port of call, whatever they want to know about, whatever they're in the market for. For me, that's where the action will still remain.
Okay.
Frankly, I hope Amazon starts selling automobiles, and we are placed there as well. So Amazon for me.
Okay.
I think Google, I think YouTube has not even begun to tap into its own potential. I think.
But
so
you just
much-
said that sort of right now Insta was almost
No, right now.
Okay.
Right? We are talking about 10 years ahead in the future.
3 or 4 years ahead.
Yeah, so I think YouTube is just beginning to tap into short form content, and their plans for this year for India in particular is massive. Their investment in it is massive, and I think this is the only platform people go and spend like hours. You never go to YouTube just because you want to browse. The intention to go on YouTube is much stronger. Once you go on that platform, you do end up spending. So a platform which organically doesn't even demand your time. You just
Great.
give
So no
that-
problem. So I don't want justification, but clearly from the house, it sort of is a house which either has sort of an Amazon poor sort of Mark Zuckerberg investing so long and into India as well, doesn't know whether sort of, he has a road ahead as well. I know we're killing it with time, but if you think we have one question, if anyone's got, we can, have that answered from any of the lovely sort of panelists, or we could sort of, I think, say thanks to all of them as well. Okay, I think we're pretty much done. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking up this whole topic to next level, and thank you so much for sharing your insights to each and every panel members. We have a felicitation ceremony coming up, and I would request you to please take it ahead and do the honors. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed this panel discussion. If so, may I request you all to please put your hands together. Thank all our panel members. I would request Mr. Sanghvi to please do the honors and felicitate all our panel members one by one. I hope the panel members have enjoyed this session. It's a most important question to be asked to the panel members as well. Honored to felicitate Nisha Khatri, Head of Marketing, Libas. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Well, let's thank our panel members one by one. Nisha Khatri, Head of Marketing, Libas. Now felicitating Harshdeep Singh, AVP Marketing, Droom. Thank you so much for sharing your insights along with us. Now felicitating Rachit Mehra, General Manager, Brand and Marketing, Qubo. Thank you so much, Mr. Mehra, for sharing your insights along with us. Now we shall felicitate Raktim Das, Chief Growth Officer, Digital and Broadcasting, TV9. We also would like to felicitate Mr. Gandharv Sachdeva, Country Head, India Hybrid. And we will be also felicitating the session chair of this session, our moderator, Kushal Sanghvi, Chief Mentor, NITI Aayog.